Of all the technologies Batman uses, there's one that's gotten him out of more tight spots than any other: his utility belt.
Hasn't every kid who read these comic books had a utility belt? Didn't you have a utility belt when you were a kid?
Over the years, Batman's utility belt has contained scores of gadgets. Some of them more far-fetched than others.
I always thought the rebreather was very cool. A rebreather is something that you sort of fit in your mouth and allows you to breathe underwater for a short period of time, longer than you could by holding your breath.
Of course, other tools in Batman's belt are more lethal. His thermite bombs work like hand grenades do.
What Batman would be very successful at is getting through doors, windows.
A more unusual weapon is Batman's signature batarang, the Dark Knight's version of a boomerang.
The batarang was always my favorite. I always thought that was the coolest. Every kid in their own home is sitting there trying to build their own batarang and see if they work.
Each arm of a real boomerang is contoured like an airplane wing. When thrown, the rotating airfoils help give the device lift, similar to the way propellers lift a helicopter. A boomerang circles back to its launching point due to gyroscopic precession, a phenomenon that causes a spinning object to maintain its axis and direction as it rotates. In Batman Begins, the batarang was entirely reconceptualized as a martial arts style throwing star.
The batarang was a very early piece of equipment of Batman's, and we felt it was very important to sort of make that part of his belt, but it had to be a very high-tech version of it, so it's smaller, but it's still a pretty lethal weapon.
But the most famous use of the batarang in the comics is as a grappling tool, a device that has now evolved into a grappling gun. And like many others, this technology is anchored solidly in science.
To have the grappling hook reach the top of the building, this is relatively easy. You're not looking at, I think, anything more powerful than some very simple spring-loaded guns, air guns, compressor things that you could easily imagine in the size of the handgun.
Batman's grappling system also packs enough power to lift the Dark Knight off the ground and into the air in mere seconds. That much liftoff would take a powerful motorized mechanism, one that factors in both Batman's weight and speed of travel.
If you look in the movie and estimate the speeds he's going up, you're looking at a power that's around 5,000 watts. To put that in perspective, typical light bulbs are 60 or 100 watts, so you're talking, maybe 50 times the power in a standard light bulb. That might sound like a lot, but it's not too bad. You can actually generate that power, and in fact, people have made devices that can pull people up.
One of those devices is the Atlas-powered rope ascender, used by the U.S. Army.
The Atlas is really similar in a lot of ways to what Batman's using right out of the comic book or the movies.
The Atlas can swiftly lift over 500 pounds. So just like Batman's grappling system, carrying two people isn't a problem.
Additionally, if you need to use this device for rescue, it makes it so that you can clip yourself and an additional person in and lift them both at the same time.
Batman's utility belt may be the ultimate in compact crime fighting, but the Caped Crusader doesn't always think small. And Batman tech doesn't get any bigger or cooler than an automobile that's become a pop culture icon.
At least tell me what it looks like. Never mind.
The jungle patrols continued for months, and Powell was about to meet his first real test as a leader.
Finally, one day, we hit a valley with a small stream going through it. And as we started down this valley, I was about, 50 yards back in the column, and I heard gunfire. It's the first time I had ever heard gunfire that was not on a rifle range. This was for real. bullets have a very distinctly different sound when they're coming at you than when you're shooting them at a target, and these were coming at us. And you could hear the sharp crack that penetrated the air that is around you. Everybody who's ever been in combat knows what that sound is like.
The sound of gunfire. The sound of a KIA killed in action.